Hi, my name is Felicita Galvan Sanchez, and I am doing my Module 3 assignment for sociology. First question is, imagine you are the president of a Fortune 500 company. You started out as a secretary right out of high school and worked your way up. The vice president and CEO are always at odds. As an expressive leader, how do you resolve the social dilemma and restore order in the leadership position between these two officers? My response was, as a president of the company, I would do my research to find out what the issues are. Once I have found that out, I would remind both of them of our company policies. I would listen to both of them and try to understand each side. I would play out an example of both of their suggestions so they can hear what it sounds like coming from another person's voice. And this will allow them to make their own suggestions and actually think like, oh, maybe I was wrong or maybe I was right. I would let them know that at the end of the day, this is a job and they need to work together to get the job done. They need to act like professional adults and come together to fix the issues. If not, they will be held accountable for their actions and be punished accordingly to our work rules. That was my answer for the first question. Second question is, name the 3 types of formal organizations and explain how each is different. Also explain a time when you were involved in one of these types of organizations and the positives and negatives it had within it. So the 3 types of organizations are voluntary, coercive, and utilitarian. Sorry if I butchered that. Voluntary is when you completely volunteer it yourself. It's something that you want to do. You're not getting paid for it. You're just volunteering your time because that's what you like to do. Coercive, it's when people are required to do it for their own benefits. One example that I say maybe would be if someone gets in trouble and they have to do community service and the judge forces them to have to volunteer in something. So that's my example of the coercive. Utilitarian, people are not forced to join, but they're compelled for some reason. I would say maybe they want to do it because they feel that it's the right thing to do. Say, for example, someone's family members already doing it and one of a cousin's doing it, so that person feels that he'd be looked down on if he or she doesn't try to do it as well. So I feel that that's the meaning of that one. My example is when I was in middle school, I volunteered for the Humane for Humanity Society. We used to help build houses. Obviously, we didn't build them because we were teens, but we helped the builders. We would go to the site, we would clean up, we would, screw in some things here and there. The houses were literally built from the floor up. We would clean the sites at first if this is something that needed to be done. And I think the positive that I took out of it was, well, at first, the only reason I joined was because I wanted to be out of my house. But once I saw what we were actually doing and why we were doing it, I actually ended up staying longer and doing it just because I wanted to. At the end of each project, we would get to meet the families and so the parents and the kids, and just the look in their faces, because they were so grateful and happy that they got a house, because they were from the lower society, not lower society, but they were not financially stable. Their finances weren't there, so it was families in need basically that needed this. So just to see their faces and their appreciation was probably what kept me going, to be able to say like, wow, I actually helped make a difference in that person's life. That's why I would volunteer. A negative would probably be those teens that were there because they had to be there, whether it was because of a punishment, whether it was a coercive or utilitarian organization. Sometimes they would just do the job to do the job because they had to, because they were there. So they didn't care if it was like 100% right or not. So it would just make it harder on us. Sometimes we would have to do double the work because we would have to go back in and fix what they didn't do right. So I think that would be probably the negative in it. I don't think I had any negative myself. I actually really much enjoyed it. For the third question, it says you decided to run for public office, although you have a little to no experience with elections, holding office, or campaigning. You feel you can be successful since you helped a friend who served in public office seat last term. Explain how this is a characteristic of Weber's ideal bureaucracy and what you will do to prove your competence under these characteristics. To be quite honest, I kind of struggled a little bit on this question. So what I said was that I have learned from helping my friend with his campaign the responsibilities that I would have. First and foremost, I would introduce myself and explain to them where I learned how to construct my ideas, thoughts, and concepts for my campaign. I would let them know my background and where I came from. I would explain to them why I was running and the difference that I wanted to make. And after all of this, I would explain to them my expectations and rules, kind of just coming from them. Sorry about that. Kind of just coming from them. I would try to just make them feel like, like they can come to me. I'm not anybody higher than them. Like, we're doing this together. Like we're doing this together. It's not just about me. I would, try to show them that I do know what I'm doing and this isn't a waste of time for anybody. Question number 4, as a creative manager of a small group of employees in the advertising department, you notice one of your designers has withdrawn from the meetings, offering no input. This employee's alienation concerns you. What would you do to socialize this employee and engage them into their job? I would talk to my employee to see what is going on and to see why he or she is not engaging in our meetings anymore. I would let him know that he has a voice in our company and I am open to everyone's suggestions. I would tell him not to be nervous around me, to speak up. This is why we have why we hold these meetings, to get everyone's opinion. With everyone having an input in our job, it can run smoother and maybe he can bring up some ideas that someone else didn't have. Those are my answers to the 4 questions, and hopefully it was good. Thank you and have a nice day.